Good evening. Welcome to the December meeting of the Niskayuna Zoning Board of Appeals. Ms. Shakedi, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Lateif,
Here.
Mr. Trimarchi,
Here.
Mr. Stein,
Here.
Mr. Daly,
Here.
Mr. Green,
Here.
Mr. Antonikowski.
Here.
Chairperson Hoke.
Here. We have a series of minutes. I am referring to the October 16th minutes, the October 24th minutes, and the November 20th, 2024 minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them, receive them, and review them? Why don't we take them in order? Is there a motion to approve the October 16th minutes?
Motion.
A motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Kenny, we call the roll with respect to the October 16th minutes.
Mr. Lateif,
Yes.
Mr. Trimarchi,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Abstain.
Mr. Daly,
Yeah.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Antonikowski.
Yes.
Chairperson Hoke.
Yes, the October 16th minutes have been approved. Moving on to the October 24th minutes, is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion.
A motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Kenny, we call the roll, please.
Mr. Lateif,
Yes.
Mr. Trimarchi,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Abstain.
Mr. Daly,
Yeah.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Antonikowski.
Yes.
Chairperson Hoke.
Yes. Finally, we have the November 20th, 2024 minutes. Is there a motion to approve the November 20th, 24 minutes?
Motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Ms. Shakedi, we call the roll to approve the November 20th, 2024 minutes.
Mr. Lateif,
Yes.
Mr. Trimarchi,
Abstain.
Mr. Stein,
Abstain.
Mr. Daly,
Yeah.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Antonikowski.
Yes.
Chairperson Hoke.
Yes, the November 20th, 2024 minutes have been approved. Next matter on the agenda is to approve the meeting schedule for 2025. Has everybody received the meeting schedule for 2025? Are there any comments on the meeting schedule from 2025? Is there a motion to approve those dates? A motion's been made to approve the meeting schedule for 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Kenny, will you call the roll with respect to the 2025 meeting schedule?
Mr. Lateif,
Yes.
Mr. Trimarchi,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yeah.
Mr. Green,
Abstain.
Mr. Antonikowski.
Yes.
Chairperson Hoke.
Yes. So the 2025 meeting schedule has been approved. Before we start tonight, I'd just like to note that this is Mr. Green's final night appearing before the zoning board of appearing on behalf of the zoning, being on the zoning board of appeals. As a member, he has served with distinction, and he has been fastidious in his service, and we're going to certainly miss you in 2025. We hope that you enjoy your zoning board of appeals retirement and come back to visit us. So I wanted to just publicly acknowledge that and thank you for your service, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, thank you for those kind words. It's been an honor and a privilege serving the community in this regard.
Well, we were certainly glad to have you. Without further ado, why don't we get to the matter on the agenda for this evening? Mr. Kenny, we call the first and only matter this evening.
Appeal by Kathleen Lutz for a variance from section 220-53A of the zoning ordinance of the town of Niskayuna as it applies to the property at 2229 Niskayuna Drive, Niskayuna, New York, located in the R2 medium density residential zoning district, to construct a 20-foot by 20-foot 10-inch addition, which exceeds the cumulative alteration for usable floor area allowed for a non-conforming building. Section 220-53A states, A nonconforming building may be structurally altered as long as cumulative alterations do not add more than 10% to the usable floor area of said building or structure as it existed on July 1, 1971, and when the valid zoning and building permit has been attained. Such alteration shall not tend to increase any inherent nuisance, nor shall such alterations violate any provisions of this chapter regarding yards, lot area, or lot coverage for the district in which it is situated, or increase any existing violation of such provision. As proposed, there is a 21% additional usable floor area. Therefore, 11% usable floor area variance is required. 11 notices were sent out, 0 responses.
Is there a response in the packet, though?
0 responses from the letters that were sent out, but
Okay.
I believe the applicant supplied some responses from neighbors in the original appeal.
Thank you. Will the applicant please step forward, please? Sure. That's okay. All you have to start off with is your name and address for the record.
I think I can do that. Kathleen Lutz, I live at 2229 Niskuna Drive.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about why you need the variance, a little bit about the need for the project, and what steps you've taken to try to mitigate any need for a variance?
So, okay.
There
Sorry.
you-
The houses in the old Niskuna area were built in the 40s. They're small houses, narrow, deep lots. I have a very small kitchen, a very small eating area. My kitchen, if I stand like this, I can touch the counters on either side. I've been trying for 10 years to figure out how to best do this. There's really only one direction to go in. My kitchen and eating area are bounded inside by a staircase and a bathroom. So I just want to modernize it, give myself a little more space, move my eating area to where it's a little more usable. As long as I'm doing this project at this point in my life, I want to bring the laundry room from the basement upstairs so I can stay in this house for, the foreseeable future should something happen. Most of that is, I forget exactly the percentages, but part of the 21% is really just replacing the deck with a porch. And it's just kind of a modification that if you walk around the neighborhood, most everybody has already made. So I'm just trying to make my house a little more contemporary and a little more usable.
Okay, in terms of as you noted, the usage, the usable floor area is being increased by 21%. You could increase it by 10%, not need the variance. So what is it within the addition that you need there to?
The 10% would give me an eating area. If I want to bring up the laundry room, that's going to bring it up. Let's see, I think I had this upside down. I think I said about 10% of it really is replacing the deck and the porch, the deck as a porch.
Okay. And with respect to your neighbors, I see that you've submitted some.
I even brought one.
Okay, well, just stay with me for a second.
Okay.
You've submitted a letter from the Boons at 2225 Niskuna Drive, correct?
Yes.
And looking at your house, where is their residence?
If I'm looking at the house, their residence is to the left. We share the lawn.
Okay. And you've also submitted a letter from Tom
Long.
Loon.
Yes.
And where does 2233 Niskuna Drive, and where does he live relative to your property? Looking at your residence from the street.
He's on the right. We share our driveways are next to each other.
Okay, so on either side,
Yes.
these letters were a representative of those neighbors, and those neighbors are acknowledged and don't have objections to the modifications that you're seeking, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And
I'm
my
gonna-
house backs onto the Dean Street Park, so I have nobody directly behind me except the people playing tennis.
Okay, I have no further questions, but I'm going to open up questioning to other members of the board who may.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, Ms. Lutz, just a couple questions. The deck that is already there, you taking that down?
Yes,
And,
it's falling down.
and that's where you're building?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about, the addition you're having. Is it gonna have, do you have a basement?
I do have a basement.
And tell me about the addition. Is it gonna be, do you have to dig anything?
It will not have a basement. It will have crawl space underneath it.
It will have just across,
Yes.
okay. And how far from the deck or from the extension that you're adding to the end of your backyard, how far do you have?
About 45 feet.
You have about 45 feet. Are you planning on adding a deck or anything in there?
Well, part of this plan includes a porch, which would be covered.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So
And that's about what I say,
that's the
something like,
10% you were talking about?
that's something like 10% of it.
Okay. And the laundry that you're bringing up, is it going to be on that porch you're talking about, or is it going to be in the kitchen?
Well, the addition will be 20 feet wide. And so the first 14 feet of it will be the eating area, and the other 6 feet of the width will be the laundry room. And that depth will be about 13 feet just to square it off. And then the remaining 7 by 20 will be the porch.
Okay. And the last question I have for you concerning the water. Is it going to generate any water that's going to go to your neighbors, or how far is your neighbor from that room you're adding? How far are they? And
It's 14 feet or 15 feet to the fence line.
to their fence? And how far is their house from that fence? 20, okay. So there's no concern about the water going from that room to the basement or,
No,
okay. All right, thank you.
and I'm
Mr.
not
Chair.
adding water. I'm just moving where my washing machine is.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
the roof, we're talking about the roof.
Ah,
So the roof is usually that's where.
I see
know,
what you mean. Yes.
So you're gonna have some draining from the snow, from the rain. I just want to make sure that that's something you looked at and
Yes.
make sure that you do look at it if you know, because I don't want the flooding in the neighbor.
Right. No, the addition is narrower than the
the
current
house.
building.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the board that have questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, good evening.
Hi.
Ms. Lutz, how are you? Just so that we can get this on the record, if you're standing on the street facing the front of your house and your application's granted, will anybody be able to see any of this?
No,
And if you're standing in your backyard and you're looking toward your rear property line, approximately how far is it to the tennis courts in the park?
it's about 45 feet to my line. And then, I don't know, it's like 20 feet to the tennis courts.
All right, thank you so much.
Are there any other questions? All right, Ms. Lutz, I'm going to ask if anybody in the audience wishes to be heard for or against this application. Sarah, why don't you step up, state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Joseph Boone, and I live at 2225 Niskuna Drive. Mrs. Lutz is my next door neighbor, and I'm here this evening to support her variance request. I'm very fond of Old Niskuna, and I would object if I felt her improvement project would harm the character of the neighborhood, but it doesn't, in my opinion. I've lived in Old Niskuna since 2014, and I walk the neighborhood often. And so I'm familiar with the neighborhood, and I don't see anything in Mrs. Lutz's projects that is inconsistent with other things I've seen in the neighborhood as I've walked about. I've been her neighbor. I've been her neighbor most able to see the addition. I'll be her neighbor most able to see the addition because it will be on my side of. It'll be on her side of my lot closest to me. Mr. Lutz will be. Mr. Lung will be way over on the other side. So I have no trouble with it. I don't see it as an eyesore. And nobody else is going to see it except me and her. And I don't have any problem with it at all. I think it's a good investment in the neighborhood. I think it's a good investment in Old Niskuna, and I think it's a good investment for the town of Niskuna. In closing, I would like to ask you to allow Ms. Lutz to proceed with her project. I think, again, it's an improvement for her and it's improvement for all of us, I feel. And I'd like to thank you, the members of the commission, for your service to the town as well. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for coming down and letting us know your feelings as a neighbor. That's always very helpful to us. So thank you.
sir.
Is there anybody else that wishes to be heard for or against this application? Having hearing, there not being anybody else further that wishes to speak, is there anyone on the board that wishes to be heard for or against this application? I would like to make a motion for or against this application.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the applicant as stated. I looked over this closely. It's not going to impact the neighborhood undesirable. If anything, it's going to be desirable for the neighborhood. In case this lady would like to sell the home, it'll bring the value of her home up. I know that area very well. And the people keep their homes exquisitely, if you really want to use that word. It's not going to be an environmental impact. It's not going to be a drainage problem. And those are the reasons why I make the application that we approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. A motion's been made. Is there a second to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
Thank you. A motion's been made and seconded. Ms. Shakedi, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Latif?
I'm going to say yes to the motion. I think the applicant is enhancing the back of her house, and I think the most affected person is the neighbor who spoke here tonight, and is very happy to have the neighbor add to the house, and for all the other reasons, I make the motion yes.
Mr. Trimarchi?
Yes, for the reasons stated and for the reasons stated in the request for area variance included in the application.
Mr. Stein?
Yes, for the reasons stated, and because the neighbor came and explained that it wouldn't have a negative effect on the neighborhood at all.
Mr. Daly?
Yes, for all the reasons I stated.
Mr. Green?
Yes, for the reasons stated.
Mr. Antonikowski?
Yes, for the reasons stated.
Chairperson Hoke?
Yes, I'll just note that because of the nature of the area, the nature of this particular lot, there aren't any other feasible means to accomplish what the applicant is seeking, to include an eating area, the washing and dryer being included on the main floor of the building, as well as incorporating a porch, a screened-in porch. So for those reasons and the reasons that have previously been stated, I vote yes. Your motion's been approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Is there any other matters before the?
I do have a question though, is what happens now in terms of the building permit?
That's something that Ms. Robertson can help you with.
Well, actually more Linda, but
Yeah. I'll send you a letter saying your variance was approved, and then we'll start reviewing your application.
Okay.
Bingo. Okay. Does the board have any other questions this evening or any discussion? Having heard no further discussion or matters before the board, does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion's been made and approved.